So the next phase
Build.
on this one is build. Yeah, and so build can encompass a lot of things, but ultimately it boils down to taking source code and making it into something that you can run on whatever platform you're running on it, whether a container or desktop or wherever it needs to run.
Website.
Yeah, it could be
whatever
website.
it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. There's so many different things you can be building: embedded code, or
a mobile app,
mobile app, a satellite, all different things. A refrigerator, which is embedded code. But
I think everything nowadays gets touched by software in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I remember back in early 2000s when IBM came up with software is eating the world. And lots of companies have borrowed parts of that sentiment and put it out in their marketing stuff. But yeah, everything as software in it. When investor types ask me who my target customer is, I can't I can't basically say aerospace or financial. It's all of the above. Everyone writes their own software. Big box stores. Walmart has quite a big software development team, and
that they do.
Yeah.
That they do indeed. Yeah, I don't know of any industry today that isn't impacted or touched by software. Like you can't do anything today. I think.
I know
some software component, like
there's software there somewhere. If it's not customer facing, it's behind the scenes. So large insurance companies, they're not handing you something that has software in it, or actually some of them may do because they have these little things you plug in your
Tesla
car.
does now. Tesla insurance.
Well, obviously Tesla's a bad example of where I was going with this, but so like an insurance company, they got a ton of software engineers writing the claim systems and
not only that, like I had my insurance when I just bought this house, they actually had me download their app and walk through the house taking pictures through their app for them to.
Do you want to plug your insurance company? Or do you hate them already?
I think insurance is the biggest scam in America. Between property insurance and healthcare insurance, like it's just a scam.
Yeah, I've only been in this. Well, I've been in this house 5 years come this August, so almost 5 years. And my insurance company did not have me download an app and walk through the house. And I kind of think I would have liked that, because I would have felt that there's a better record of what the condition of my house and the contents and all that, instead of just guessing at how much I want to be insured for this, and then just paying whatever they tell me I have to pay.
Yeah, well, there's a pros and a con, right? Again, I love Tesla as much as everybody doesn't like them, but one of the benefits of having like Tesla insurance versus an Allstate or a State Farm is that Teslas know every variable of your car. So if you're accelerating heavily or decelerating heavily, they know.
Yeah,
there's a pro and a con to it, but also
just like a smart speaker is always recording back to Google or Amazon, depending on which one you have.
Yeah.
So picking on Tesla. So and not picking on my wife, because obviously my wife didn't do this. I lost a hubcap on my Tesla, but I don't know if Tesla knows I'm missing a hubcap, because I want to receive one in the mail.
They know, they know, and I'll tell you why they know, because they got to be measuring the revolutions per second, and I guarantee that drag is impacting it down to a millisecond.
Oh,
it's got to be 3 out of the 4 wheels are showing the same data, and I guarantee you that hubcap one is slightly anomalized.
Well, why haven't I got an alert that, hey, you need to buy a new hubcap? Or even better, here's a complimentary hubcap for you, Sean. Like, if anyone from Tesla is listening, I need a new hubcap.
I think that was one of the intent. I remember reading of like at least 5 years ago where Tesla's intent was, because every onboard system is monitored, that it would detect failure rates of the devices and preemptively ship the product to the service room, so that they would already have, for when you came, they already knew that you were going to come with that missing part that needed to be replaced.
Yeah. So I would love it if they went one step forward and the service center
Just came to
would
your
call
house.
me. And well, it will come to my house would be great, but at least alert me like, hey, we've noticed that you're missing a hubcap. We have these dates available for you to come in and schedule.
Or though, I mean, the hubcap thing is probably a mobile service type of thing.
I would hope that they could just send it to me and I can slap a hubcap on. But
They came
mobile service would be good too.
when I got my Tesla. I couldn't get my rear license plate off, like the screws were stripped. So they came to my house and replaced the whole back, the whole license plate holder.
So we're way off topic, but does California make you have a front license plate?
Yeah.
Okay. Colorado does, but no one ever enforces it. So like now all the police in Colorado that are watching this are going to be after me. But the Tesla dealership recommended I don't bother putting it on. But if I get caught, they would put it on for free.
Oh, nice. Yeah, California is an interesting state. So the justification that we get is that you need your front license plate so that you don't trick the tolls, right? Okay. But yet, in the great state of Florida, they don't require you to have a front license plate, and you can't exit your house without paying a toll. So somebody's lying to me.
I guess if you don't have a sticker, then they go by your plates, and it's nice to have two chances to figure out your plates, I guess.
But somebody's still lying to me, because why isn't it required in Florida, where you literally can't even get to the grocery store without paying two or three tolls?
Where did you go in Florida? Definitely not the Tampa
West
area.
Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay. Maybe that's
the rich people.
So I'd say in and around Orlando, there's a lot of tolls, but mainly getting to and from the airport and in Disney World. I don't remember any tolls in the Tampa area. But anyway, we are way off DevOps topic.
All right. So in the build, there's a lot going on. And so version control is one of them, which is kind of where I wanted to start off. Because
that's where I like to start as well.
To me, this is really where DevOps starts to take shape. Right? Again, the planning discipline and the idea discipline, those are usually a different individual. It's usually your project manager, your scrum master. You have your product owners, your product managers up a little head, higher up for your BA, your business analyst, right? But as an individual contributor who I'm actually actively in the DevOps world, it starts with version control, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're interfacing with your IDE, and your IDE talks directly to the version control tool. These days, it's largely a Git-based version control tool, unless you're in like the IC market or gaming. You might be using something like Perforce, but that's pretty much the only one-off. You're using a Git-based system for the most part. There's very few of the legacy tools out there other than Perforce, and I'd argue that Perforce kind of
no Mercurial for you.
So Mercurial was a great little tool, but it just did not. It was the Betamax of the VCR area or era. So nothing specifically wrong with it. It just didn't get the the popularity that Git came to.
I remember Subversion too. So I like Subversion.
Yeah, Subversion is clearly a legacy tool. Subversion, predates Git by a decade or so, maybe even longer. As I remember, Subversion in the 90s.
Yeah, so. And then the Visual SourceSafe. There's a couple. There's a couple out there. But all of them much better than
Accurev was one that I really liked a lot.
Which one?
Accurev.
Okay,
but it didn't really last long. In fact, I'm still friends with the founder of Accurev. He still harasses everybody on Facebook.
Visual SourceSafe again is one that I used in the past, many moons ago. But so we have a combination of your source code repository, your IDE,
and then your compiler, your whatever you're using. If you're depending on what programming language you're using, you may be using GCC. You could be using CMake.
Where does Maven come into all this?
So Maven is more of a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a build orchestrator. So it's not like a Jenkins, which we need to talk about in the next
phase here.
So not jumping too high. So it's not quite a Jenkins as far as an orchestration tool, but it's a build and packaging tool. So basically, it replaces Make, if you remember Make. So Make
I do remember Make.
C++. You had Make files that basically gave you the instructions on how how the compiler and the linker and all that are going to make your product. Maven and Gradle, and there's a few others, extend that to newer programming languages. So you have like a build.xml file, which is basically your recipe for, this is what I need for dependencies. This is how I build this. Am I using debug or not debug? All sorts of other flags. We'll probably talk about feature flags in here. And this is where you would set the compile time feature flags, if that's how you're going to have things set up. But then, that would basically give you a set of command line or through the IDE commands to execute your builds. That's why you use a Gradle or Maven, and so I would say your binary repositories fall in the build phase as well, but it also carries on to continuous integration, and those are things like Artifactory, Nexus, GitLab and GitHub packages. And so with Gradle, you can say, okay, I want you to compile X, Y, and Z, and when you're done with it, pump it into Artifactory for safekeeping. Another project may be building, the next three or related packages, and they need to refer to a library that you just created. And so they could go look for that library in the binary repository and pull that down. So they're not remaking the library.
That makes total sense. And so glad I'm not a developer anymore. This is why I stay in the planning phase.
And it's much more complicated, but people would say that crafting a good Makefile was extremely complicated. And that's a lot of what I did in the 90s, was just go through and clean up other people's Makefiles and creating a larger Makefile system off of multiple subsystems of a bigger project. And something like Gradle makes that much easier these days than trying to do that in Make.
Yeah. So we got a lot of tools in here, though. We got things like Visual Studio Team Foundation Server. There it is. It still made it in there. So obviously your ADO, right?
The one thing about the graphic that we borrowed, and I definitely want to give credit to whoever actually came up with this graphic. Maybe that will be in the show notes or something. But there's a lot of there's a mix of legacy and semi-newer stuff in here. But there's certain like brand new tools I'm not really seeing in here. But there's a nice combination.
Yeah, because I would have put ADO on here somewhere. Jira is not even on here. And we spend a lot of time talking about Jira.
Oh, there's no way Jira is not on here.
Do you see it?
I now that you bring it up, I'm not seeing it.
I mean, at least I don't see it in the place I would expect to see it on the top.
Yeah, I would have expected it to be above Trello or next to Asana.
This one's Atlassian's view of the world, by the way.
Yeah.
And one thing to note, though, you'll notice that there's a discover step in there in Atlassian's infinite loop.
Yeah. Well, they have a product that does discover. So.
Yeah. And then I'll also call out that the continuous integration is more on the test part of it. So there's a huge testing component to it, and then we have to deploy. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, especially when we cross-reference this picture with with this picture, right, we have the
Yeah, continuous integration should include testing
testing.
and security.